So it is time to get booked for the summer. Today, we are going to chat about my summer TBR, which I am participating in Covers with Cassidy's Booked in the Summer Reading Challenge. This has 10 book prompts, 10 challenge prompts. Today, we're just going to look at the books that I plan on reading. The challenges I have an idea for. You will see that, hopefully, if my idea comes to fruition, you will see that in some upcoming vlogs. But we're going to just talk about my 10 book TBR for the 10 main book prompts. This is a summer reading challenge that you can focus on any type of books that you want, but is definitely geared toward fantasy romance, and that is definitely what I have chosen to fill it with. I have grabbed 9 fantasy romances off my shelf and one that I was planning on reading and just don't have a physical copy of yet, and we are going to get into my TBR. The first prompt is an arranged fling turned more, which is to read a book with like a marriage of convenience, which I do love a marriage of convenience or like an arranged marriage trope. That is one that works really, really well for me. And I actually have a new release that came out in June that has this in it that is a retelling. So you know I had to put it on the list because not only is it a retelling, but it is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And that is A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. This follows a woman who is a con artist, and she makes forgeries of paintings, and actually there's somehow magic linked to the way she paints and what the paintings can do. I don't know the intricacies of that because obviously I haven't read the book yet, but I'm interested to find out how that like works. So she is a con artist, and she is doing this to help support her sisters because there is a lot of debt in their family. Their father has either died or disappeared, and their mother has a lot of debts. And there's actually a gang coming to like claim the debts, and she needs to get a lot of money to get out of it. And to do that, she actually becomes in an arranged marriage to a dragon lord. So that is where our arranged marriage is in this book. And that is our Beast character in this Beauty and the Beast retelling. On the back of this book, it says, a girl who paints the future, a cursed dragon lord, bound by love and deception, they will bring the gods down. Again, Beauty and the Beast retelling that I was really anticipating anyway. So this is a perfect time for me to get it on my summer TBR. For Lost and Found Family, we need to read a book that has a found family element. For this, I'm going to continue a series that I've been reading throughout the year, and that is The Saints of Steel. I need to read the third book, Paladins Hope. And in this book, we follow a set of paladins whose gods have died. And they come together and they really support each other. And they are also living in a new temple called the Temple of the White Rat. And I would like to propose that the paladins and also the various people from the temple make a found family. They really come together to support each other and also to hunt down a current evil that is happening in their world, which we are following over all 4 books. Each book follows a specific paladin specifically, like in-depthly. Obviously, you kind of see everybody, but mostly them and their romance. And also this arching plot of this headless killer that is taking over bodies. It's an interesting time. In this third one, we actually have a queer romance with Galen, who is our paladin, and Piper, who is like a mortician doctor in this world. I've been looking forward to this romance, and it's the perfect time to get to it. For Road Trip with My Enemy, we need to read an enemies to lovers romance. And I will be reading one that everyone has been talking about. And the entire series is out, and it's just a duology. So I would not be surprised that if I love this, I just read both books. And that is Heartless Hunter. This book is a fantasy romance between a witch and a witch hunter. I don't think you could get more enemies to lovers than that, because obviously they are after each other. I mean, the hunter hunts the witches. That is about all I know about this book, and everyone who knows my reading taste has said that I am going to love this series. So again, if I do like the first one, I will probably just jump right into Rebel Witch as well. For Summer Nights and a Slow Burn Romance, I am going to be trying a book that I recently got in a book exchange. And I picked up the entire series at the book exchange. I mean, they were free. If you gave books, you got to take home books. That's just how it worked. And I don't know if this series is going to work for me, but I thought, you know what? Let's give it a try, and it works for this prompt. And that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This book follows a woman who has a romance with death. Like death is personified in this, and that is who the romance is between. I don't even know if there's a romance in this first book because, again, it's listed as slow burn. How slow burn is it? I don't know. I have all 3 books. So again, if I like it, I could just find the romance in one of the 3. I do tend to like an interesting type romance and an interesting type protagonist, such as something like personifying death. Like, I think that's really interesting and really, really different. And we'll find out if it works for me as I get to this book. For training with a fictional man, I do think I'm stretching this prompt a little bit. Actually, I know I'm stretching this prompt a little bit, but I know Cassidy will not mind that I'm stretching the prompt. I don't know if there's a training scene in this book. I know there are trials, which is not really the same, but I'm going to make it work because I really want to read this book and I really want to get it on the TBR. And I also know Cassidy loves this book, so she will also be happy that I'm reading it. And that is Fantasma by Kaylee Smith. The trials in this book sound really, really interesting. And I know we follow a young girl whose mother is murdered, I believe, maybe, or dies brutally. Yeah, is murdered. And she has to like pay off some debts. And the only way to pay it off is like entering this trial system called Fantasma. And it does say the only rule in Fantasma is to stay alive and to not fall in love. And I do think since this is a fantasy romance, she probably breaks that rule. For adopt an animal companion, we need to read a book that has an animal companion. And there is a series that I am bound and determined to finish reading before the end of the year and preferably before the end of the summer. I just read the first book about a month ago, couldn't dive into the rest of the series at that time because they get very, 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 very big. But now is the time because it does have an animal companion in it. And that is Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I read Spark about a month and a half ago at this point. I gave it 5 stars. The first book was really a political fantasy book, which is something that I really, really enjoy, but I was interested in the romance as well, and I'm interested to see how it kind of comes to fruition after the cliffhanger of the first book. In these books, we follow Diam, whose mother has gone missing, and she has to infiltrate the Descended to find out what happened to her mother, and she enters as a healer. And a lot of things happen in the first book, but the first book is significantly smaller than this second book. So much must happen in this second book. So much must happen. And I could see that there would be a lot that happens just knowing kind of how the first one ended. There is a griffin in this that is like attached to the ruling leader of this world that we are in. We see it a little bit in the first book. I do expect to see it a lot more in the second book. So perfect, works for this prompt. For accidentally sharing a sleeping bag, we need to read a book with the only one bed trope in it. That's a little bit hard to know ahead of time, but luckily I know enough people who've read this book and have told me that yes, it does. It's a recent, very popular book here on the internet, and it is gorgeous, and that is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This is actually going to be my first Devney Perry. I haven't read the romances by Devney Perry. I'm going to start here and then maybe go backwards if I enjoy this. From the synopsis, I believe we follow a princess, and all of a sudden monsters come to her kingdom, and she is married off to a prince. So again, we kind of have another arranged marriage of convenience trope in this, which I did say I liked. I'm not using it for that trope, but you know what? It's in here and I like that trope. So that's always a good sign. And I just love this line at the end of the synopsis, and it's obviously from our princess's perspective. And it says, "That was the day I learned that not all myths are make-believe, that lies and legends are often the same, and that the only way to kill the monsters we fear is to become one." Honestly, you know, I love like myths, make-believe, fairy tales, that kind of thing. I don't think this is one of those, but there's a lot of things in this that I definitely think are going to make me gravitate to this book. And honestly, it is just so beautiful. Like, it is just the most beautiful of books. For House Hike, we need to read a book with nature on the cover. For this, I'm going to be reading The Forest King's Daughter by Ellie Blake. This book I recently picked up at Indigo purely based off the cover and just like a really quick synopsis read. In this book, we follow 2 childhood friends. They are playing out in the magical woods to which they live. When they find this ring, they think it's just a trinket. He puts it on her finger, and immediately this starts a war between the queen of the underworld and the king of the forest. Like, this war immediately starts because of this ring. Fast forward many, many years, these 2 have now grown up and they are on opposing sides of this situation. And the ring is actually being used as a weapon in this war by our female main character, and he needs to kidnap her to get the ring back. So we have childhood friends turned into mortal enemies that become forbidden lovers. What more could you want? Also, this takes place in a magical forest, and you know I love a magical forest. For Campfire Tales, we have to read a book with fire on the cover. And based off something I said earlier in this video, I bet you can guess what book I'm going to read. And it is a very, very, very large book. And that is Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. If I thought the second book was bigger than the first book, this is serious. What is happening? What occurs? I need to know. For just a heat wave, or is it spicy, I'm going to end with how I began, with another Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is a sequel to a book that I didn't love, but I didn't dislike. And I liked the second half of the book a lot more than the first. So I'm hoping that the sequel follows what we saw in the second half. And I have been told to believe that that is true. And I do suspect that it would be. It is a why choose romance. So it is definitely spicy. And again, it is Beauty and the Beast. And that is Woven by Gold by Elizabeth Helen. The first book I gave 3 stars, which was a disappointment. It was a disappointment to all. I was not expecting to only give this first book 3 stars. So I'm hoping to redeem myself with book 2. I'm really hoping to love this and love this series as much as everybody else does, and then continue forward with this series. But that is the 10 books that I plan to read this summer for Booked in the Summer. Again, there are challenges that some are book related and I can double them up with the books I'm already reading. Some of them are lifestyle and I do have a plan for those, but I'm going to keep that to myself for a minute and you will see that soon, hopefully in a vlog, probably in August. We're going to cross our fingers that I can get it done by then. We'll see. Some of these books are very chunky though, so like give me some time. These are not small to be vlogging all these books, but I'm going to get it done. I'm going to try my best. Thank you so much to Cassidy for making this fun summer challenge. It's so fun to participate in, and I cannot wait to read some of these fantasy romance books this summer because of it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video but have nothing to say down in the comments, leave me a summary emoji for being booked in the summer, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.